Welcome back to another episode of the Clown Syndrome podcast. And today I have a very special guest with me. This is the one, the only Gabby.
Hi.
I don't know. Do you want to go by Gabby Honey or Palacios, or what do you want?
So Gabby Honey is my stage name.
Uh-huh.
Gabby Palacios is my real name, and it's my professional name. So I think since this is the Clown Syndrome podcast, we can probably go by my stage name. So
Okay.
Gabby Honey is fine.
Gabby Honey. How did you come up with the name Gabby Honey?
It's an homage to Miss Honey from Matilda. She is one of my favorite characters. She's a teacher in the book. She's really sweet, like honey. And I decided to go by a stage name because people kept messing up my real name. They couldn't really quite say Gabriela Palacios. Is coming
Well,
to
now
the
if you say it like
stage.
that.
Right. So
With the accent,
I
it
didn't
makes
want it to be the first thing that, that the MC says. And now coming to the stage, Gabriela Palacios. Did I say that right? And I'm like, not even close, but I just want to get started on this set. So changed it to Gabby Honey, and it's that's my TikTok name too. So it also helps just to keep my professional life separate from my comedy.
Yep. I know how you feel because people also can't pronounce my last name.
Yeah, yours looks like it's a tough one to pronounce.
Kiros. It's really not that hard, I don't think. Or you could
Kiros?
just,
Is that what you said? Yeah.
or call me Quiznos, or John Q works really well.
Quizzes.
Yeah. They called me other things in high school too. But anyways, really quick, before we get going, for people who don't know Miss Gabby over here, she's a teacher. She's about to transition into being a librarian. And she's a mom of 4. And a
Yes.
stand-up comedian.
That's right.
Yeah. You doing all the things.
Yep. I like to keep myself busy.
But school's out for the summer. So
It is. So we're in the middle of hot teacher summer. Thank goodness. You really need that break.
Yeah.
In the fall, I'll be going back to education, but this time as a school librarian for a school that's pre-K 3 to 8th grade. So previously I taught high school English, 10th grade. And I loved teaching my high schoolers. They were so much fun. So I'm looking forward to this transition where I'm working more with the younger age groups and see how that goes.
So have you also taught younger kids?
I've only taught high schoolers. So I haven't I did some substitute teaching with some of the little kids, but I never wanted to be like an elementary school teacher. I just couldn't, I didn't want to be the one wiping noses and bending over and cutting things into shapes. And the high schoolers, they crack me up. I like working with them.
Yeah, they can cut their own paper.
Yeah. I actually boss them around all the time. I'm like, I need you guys to move all these textbooks to the second floor. And you just give them a few instructions and they take care of it. They're really self-sufficient, actually.
Yeah, I was going to ask what you like more, but since you haven't taught little kids, you don't know. But I imagine it'd be similar to having kids.
I think so. I don't know. Well, as a teacher, it's your job and you cannot lose your temper. With your kids, I think you can be obviously more informal. Maybe that barrier of like, I can't lose my cool is a little bit lower. Although obviously you shouldn't lose your cool with your kids either. But
Well, things happen.
as a teacher, every time my students would push my buttons, I would just remember this is just a job and I can always walk away from this. So
I can send them home at the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. But with the younger students, they're going to push your buttons in different ways, but they're also really sweet. I did do some subbing, so I have a little bit of experience with them, and of course my experience with my own children. So yeah, the little kids, they're really, first of all, they'll tell you whatever's on their mind. They don't hold back at all. And they're really sweet and affectionate.
Oh yeah, because they're little, they don't know anything more.
Yeah.
Which is both a blessing and a curse. But yeah, the whole speaking their mind things, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think they'll give me plenty of material to work with. For
I
more
imagine, because they don't know anything really, which is crazy when you think about, like, when we're born and growing up, we literally know nothing except for, what we're taught for an extended period of time before we can, have our own thoughts and opinions. But I see some parents out here who just expect their small kids to know things that they weren't taught. It's like, how?
Yeah, I think as a teacher, there's a lot more that I teach my students
Thank you.
besides just English. I teach them everything from manners to why we shouldn't lie. I had a student who said something like,
Unless you want to be in government, then you should lie.
I think maybe then it's required to a certain extent. Yeah, I had a student who said something like, they were turning in their assignments, and I just asked him if he did the writing or not. And he said, no, I didn't do it. And I said, okay. And then the other student said, yes, I did do it. And I gave him his grade. And the guy said, the kid was like, man, I should have just lied. I should have just said that I did it. And I told him, I'm like, but do you know how easy it would be for me to check if you were lying? And then if I caught you in a lie, the respect that you would have lost from me and like the trust that you would have lost from me is so much more valuable than this grade, because you can always make this up. You know, I'm going to give you the opportunity to earn back the credit, but like losing trust with somebody, that is way more important. So I explained, I don't think a lot of our students, I work in Dallas ISD, a lot of students don't necessarily have the
Fathers?
same. Oh gosh. No, I think they might have fathers. They probably have, I don't know. Everybody has a different background. You never know what a student's going through at home. So you got to give them all the benefit of the doubt that they could use this sort of explicit instruction.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed the debate.
Yeah, that's the funnest part, is arguing with people.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, my students, they love to argue.
Yeah. Everybody does. So now, before you got into teaching, give us a little bit about your background.
So before I got into teaching, well, I was a stay-at-home mom for about 6 or 7 years. I got divorced about 2 years ago. And before that, I worked in supply chain management. I worked in London at a fashion company called Burberry. I'm sure you've heard of it. And I was in the supply chain department.
I was going to say, do you mean London somewhere in the US or London, UK? So London,
UK. Yeah, I lived
crazy.
there for a couple years. I also used to live in Vienna, Austria. And I learned German while I was there.
Yep. I saw that on your TikTok. So I tried to do a deep dive on you as much as I could to come up with topics. And, you know, surprisingly, there wasn't a lot there. I was like, these are, most of your TikToks were teaching related. It's like, okay, that's all teaching related.
Well, I do a mix of things on my TikTok. I talk about, I do my stand-up clips, although TikTok doesn't like stand-up clips. It pushes
Unless
them
you're
to
Matt
the bottom
Rife.
of the, Matt Rice probably the exception. It really likes to push TikTok clips, stand-up clips to the bottom of the TikTok algorithm. I do my stuff about weight loss sometimes, or about my kids. The one actually that went super viral on my TikTok was about my son. It was about him turning in a project at the last minute and asking for my help with it. And that one went super viral for some reason. I think because it was relatable, that middle of the night asking your mom for help with a school project thing.
I've done that.
Yeah.
With my grandma anyway.
I remember doing that as well with my mom and dad.
Yeah. For me, the reason why I did that is because I was nervous to ask for help on something. And then the day before, I was like, oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah, I think we all do that. And I had some backlash on that whole TikTok. Some people, mostly like bitter older people, I think, who were saying things like, you're never going to teach your son responsibility. You should have let him fail so that he knows to never procrastinate again. And I know lots of failures who still procrastinate. They don't necessarily learn. I think procrastination has a lot of reasons that can happen.
Well, you can learn from failure.
Oh yeah, you can learn from failure for sure, but you don't necessarily need to fail to learn.
Yeah.
That's not always the way it has to be. And a lot of people were saying things like, you're not preparing him for the real world. But when I look at the real world, it is filled with examples, even in my own life, of sometimes I've procrastinated something or I messed something up, and somebody that loved me, a friend, a teacher, a family member, bailed me out. They helped me. So I think that is still the real world. And I'm still going to be there for him even when he's an adult. So yeah. So I don't regret helping my son.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I don't have any kids yet. The only person or entity that I'm responsible for is the dog. And he behaves better than some people's kids.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I have a dog too. She's really sweet, Kai. I'm actually going to take her to a comedy show tonight. Well, an open mic. View with Jamie Jakes. You know that open mic that he does on Friday
over at
nights.
Outfit Brewing.
Is it an
Or a different
outfit?
one?
It's at a brewery, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna take my dog because she's just been going crazy inside. She really wants to get out and see my stand up, I think.
Of course, dogs definitely love stand up.
I think they do.
So you worked for Burberry, and then you lived in Austria as well. Then what? First of all, hold on, back up. How did that happen?
I just took a job there and I got a work visa.
Like you were on Indeed, like, no, what's fucking Burberry up to?
It had to do with my ex-husband. He got a job there first, and then I got a job there second through some connections.
Was he from there?
No, he was from Chile, actually.
Okay. So
yeah.
that's
We just
interesting.
it was in college. He took an internship there, and then I followed him there to start, married life there, and it was a adventure. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was good before I had kids. I don't think I'd want to live in London after kids. I gave birth to my first baby in London, and people always talk about how we should have free healthcare or universal healthcare. And they have universal healthcare there in the UK. I experienced it firsthand, and I gave birth here in the United States as well. And I will say universal healthcare, giving birth in a hospital that uses universal healthcare is like giving birth at the DMV. It's extremely long wait lines, angry providers or people who are just apathetic, and it takes forever. Yeah, they treat you like a cow in a stall. I did not like it at all. When I got here to the US, they didn't even have AC
What?
or ice,
What?
or I didn't get my own room either. And so I would not recommend. It was not fun. There was a lady I didn't have my own room. They just had us like separated by curtains. And I was
Just
in a
like the
room with
ER.
like 8 other women. Yes. And actually my recovery suite, because I had a C-section, so I had to go to somewhere post-op for like 2 hours, was in a room with all kinds of people. It wasn't even just maternity. So there were just like men in there groaning from some sort of injuries. It was
Oi,
very
bruv,
strange.
me leg.
Yeah. I did not appreciate spending time with pirates right after giving birth.
Hey,
Yeah.
about that. No. I can imagine. But see, I think the British accent is so funny, though. Like, I was going to say interesting, but it's not. I just find it amusing.
It is an amusing accent, and it gets stuck in your head when you're living over there for an extended period
Oh,
of time.
piss off.
That's more of like what is that one called? Like a Cockney accent, I think.
I don't know what they're all called.
Yeah, there's a lot of different accents there in the UK. Some are considered classier than others, kind of like we have like a southern accent here. Yeah.
Well, we don't, but I have heard them. Actually, when I moved to Texas, that was one of my biggest disappointments. I was expecting everybody out here to be like, "How there, partner," and then they weren't. I was like, "Oh."
Howdy is one of those words that can get stuck in your vocabulary at first, like you're trying to do it ironically, and then eventually it just gets stuck that way.
Howdy, y'all.
Yeah. I love saying howdy.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start the day.
No, howdy, y'all is a super friendly greeting.
It is. Wait,
It's
so,
like, oh.
so you're not from Texas? Where are you from?
So I was born in very far upstate New York because my dad was in the Air Force. I was almost Canadian. And then I grew up in the desert of California.
Okay. Nice.
Then I moved here in 2015.
So you've been here a little while then.
Yep, almost a decade.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
All in the Dallas area. Dallas drivers. I love Texas, but not the drivers.
No, they can be really aggressive. I was doing that commute every morning, and I'm so glad that I'm not doing it right now. But I'll be picking it up again in August.
Some of them are aggressive. Most of these people are too timid.
You think they're too timid?
Absolutely. Like, especially, first of all, just trying to do the speed limit. If the speed limit is 70, we don't need to go 60. Just do 70. Can we just do close to 70?
I'm usually in the left lane going as fast as I can because I I like to wait
In
until
the
my
mom
exit.
van.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's got a V6. Those are fast. Floor it.
I can get some pretty good speed there in my
Oh
minivan.
yeah, I know. I've driven. So I used to work at car dealerships. I've driven many a minivan.
Yeah.
Those things haul.
They're great. I love having a minivan. I was resistant to changing to a minivan at first,
Why?
and now I can't imagine driving
so great.
anything else.
You have so much room for activities.
Yeah, and my kids get up to shenanigans in there. They like to wander around the car like it's. At least that's the way it was when I first
Just slam
transitioned
on the
the older
brakes.
two to
Teach
booster
'em.
seats.
This is what seatbelts are for.
They've learned.
Yeah.
They've learned because
You've done it before.
That ended
Brake
up
check.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, like my cousin Amanda, she actually has a Honda Odyssey. It's I think 2 generations before yours, but yeah, things got, I don't know, 200 something thousand miles on it. Still going, of course. Honda.
I had a different Honda Odyssey before this one. Her name was Blueberry. My new one, her name is Pearl. But Blueberry died a grisly death around Christmas time.
Did
just
you
about
crash it or what
6
happened?
months ago. My ex-boyfriend crashed it.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm never letting a man drive my car again. Completely
Gabby,
totaled it.
I need to borrow your car. Okay.
Yeah. That was a really hard end to
Yeah.
my relationship. Because we didn't even break up yet because of that. I was actually like, it's okay.
Oh God.
I understand.
Well, I mean,
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
inside, seething rage. You destroyed Blueberry.
I was actually I didn't really fully break down crying until I remembered that I hadn't gotten her detailed and I was just about to, so she died dirty. And that really made me sad.
Pity.
So, yeah, I don't want to let anybody, especially a man, drive my car. I don't think they know how to handle her. So
See,
Pearl will be safe. I learned because of Blueberry.
I don't want to let women drive my car.
Has a woman ever totaled your car?
Not yet. Do you know why?
Because you don't let them drive it?
Yep. Except for
yeah.
my sister. I've let her drive my car.
Yeah. I didn't used to let any men drive my car until that experience, and that taught me pretty well. I think I only needed that lesson once.
Well, so let me ask you this. How did he crash it?
We were on a road trip and I was asleep. He was like, I'll do all the driving. And I was like, okay, that's nice. And it was winter time. We were driving from Texas to Utah, and I usually take the Albuquerque route. He wanted to take the Wyoming route for some reason. And we hit some ice and slammed into
Utah?
the back of a semi. Yeah, to Utah. I know
What part?
it sort of like curves upward and over because we were going to northern Utah. So it's technically a little bit faster, but with the ice and the storm, it really wasn't any better. We ended up in a ditch. So that was not fun. It was like the middle of the night too. I was freezing. My feet hit the dashboard so hard. I like karate chopped the windshield and cracked it with my feet. I was wearing socks, and my socks became embedded with glass and blood into
Were
my
your feet
skin.
on the dashboard?
Yes, my feet were on the dashboard. I was very comfortable.
I assume so.
I slept very well.
Until.
Yeah, I just heard him yelling, "Oh shit!" And then next thing I know, my feet were rung like a bell.
See, Gabby, that's why you're not supposed to have your feet on the dashboard.
I did learn that the hard way. I already knew that, but
Do you learn a lot of things the hard way?
I think so. Yeah. Life likes to humble me a little bit, but I think it makes for great comedy. That's why when
There's always that silver lining.
pretty much, I think at that point, all you can do is get into comedy. In fact, for the whole 2 months that I was in that relationship, I didn't do any
Wow,
stand-up.
hold on. So this is getting. First of all, you told me you totaled your car. That could be a red flag. But you were with him for 2 months,
Yeah.
and then you decided to go on a road trip
Yeah, we were very serious.
for 2 months. There must have been other red flags.
No. No,
Really?
he was a great guy. Still think he's a great guy. Just bad luck.
That's a red flag.
No buena suerte. But yeah, Yeah, so it was just 2 months. But during those 2 months, I was so blissfully happy and in love that nothing was funny. Everything, I was just so grossly sincere all the time. I was a very uninteresting person, I think. I was just like, guys, isn't life just wonderful? And then my car was crashed and he was like, I don't think I can be a stepfather. And then I was alone on New Year's Eve and things were really funny again. And I just found a lot of comedy and I got back into stand up and I had a really good spring, lots of shows. So, I think no matter which way it goes, you can always find something to be optimistic about.
Well, either laugh or cry. So.
Or both.
Yeah,
I like doing
if
both.
you're bipolar.
Yeah, I like laughing in public and crying alone.
Yeah, or in the shower, in the rain.
TikTok is a great place to laugh and cry. I'll definitely be on TikTok looking at something and it's like a video, like hopecore or like something really tragic and I'm just absolutely sobbing. And then the next video is like a gorilla transition or something and I'm back up again.
So let me ask you this. With relationships, when you go into a relationship, do you rush into it like kind of hard?
I mean, I haven't been in too many relationships. In my first one, which was with my ex-husband when I was like 18, 19. We took our time, dated for like a year and a half on and off before we got engaged. And then like a few months later, we got married. With my second relationship, which was after the divorce, his boyfriend.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I was much, yeah. I thought I was taking it slow, but looking back, yeah, I definitely rushed in. Now I'm committed to being a little bit more hesitant and intentional, setting some parameters. I didn't even like that. I don't know if you heard this whole thing about the 3-month rule.
I have not.
It's just like this rule in dating that people show their true colors 3 months in, or something ends up happening 3 months in. If you,
those are only people who have something to hide.
well, we all have something to hide.
I don't.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
What are you hiding under there?
That looks that way. So yeah, if you don't know,
hide something.
yeah, if you don't know why the eye patch is there, I've lost like 75% of my vision, so I'm completely blind in my left eye. So I've been blind in this eye for so long. Is that my phone? Oh, I am a bad co-host.
It's okay.
Okay, so I've been blind in this eye so long that it doesn't track with my right eye anymore. So if I'm looking at you, this eye will look at you, but this eye is going to look somewhere off to the left.
So do you keep it so that you don't have to like strain that eye?
No, I keep it so that I don't look weird. I have to watch my language for this one. I will say so I don't look weird. I would normally use a different word. And also so that people are like, oh, this guy is blind, because I am. And sometimes I bump into things.
Do you get like a handicap spot? Do you drive? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you drive. I know you drive. Do you get to have
No.
like you don't get a handicap spot?
I won't apply for one.
Why?
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have any perks.
Oh. You gotta learn how to, you gotta milk that, man.
Well, I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
But anyways, so how long were you in the UK, in Vienna?
I was living there. Well, in the UK, I was living there for about 2 years. Vienna was only a few months. The other place that I've lived abroad was Bermuda, and I lived there for about a year.
Damn. Bermuda, Bahama.
I liked living in Bermuda. That was definitely my favorite place.
I can imagine. As
Yeah.
long as you stay out of the triangle.
I think we were dead in the triangle, honestly. We were fully in it.
Fully, you didn't know where you were.
Yeah, actually,
Planes went
things are
missing.
kind of weird. They're a little bit different in Bermuda. Like, one of the first things that I got when I moved there that was extremely vital to existing on the island was a phone book. It's like they're a little bit back in time.
Yeah, because you go into the wormhole. And
And the phone book was actually super useful because they don't have their businesses online that much for some reason. And they
how
don't
long ago
use-
was this?
This was in 2016 to 2018.
Okay.
So maybe things have changed, it's possible. But it's a very small island. It's like 20 miles long, 1 mile wide. It's shaped kind of like a paperclip or a double J. And everybody there knows everybody else. I think it's a population of like 60,000, which is like twice the size of a large university, maybe. So you get to know people pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, if the place is 20 square miles, that's smaller than DFW Airport.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. It's
By
a
7
tiny
miles.
little island.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go is pretty much coast. There's only a little bit of inland, and mostly everything they do in terms of commerce is they import everything, and because they really don't grow anything there, but their commerce is all based on insurance. So they have a lot of actuaries, lawyers, and some things in finance, so accountants and tax. People like to keep their
Sounds
little
like
offshore
a
accounts.
fun group of people.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of smarties.
Yeah,
I would say those are the expats actually. So those are people that come from other countries to live there. Everybody else that are locals are called Bermudians, and they have all the other jobs like anything in retail, teaching, working at the hospitals. Nurses are the other expat jobs. They protect the jobs for the Bermudians and their economy. So if you want to come in from out of the country, you have to have one of those like 4 jobs: lawyer, actuary, accountant, or nurse.
So were you a lawyer, accountant, actuary, or nurse?
Nope. I was a stay-at-home mom, and that was the only other thing you can do. So I was part of a group of friends or a network, I guess I would say, that were all the stay-at-home moms whose husbands did those jobs.
So was he a lawyer, actuary, accountant,
He was
or
an accountant.
nurse? Okay.
That's right. Yeah, he was a tax accountant.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
It was a living hell, actually. But other than that, I'm just kidding.
I mean, unless you really like math.
I mean, for him, I think the job was good.
Yeah.
The marriage, would not do it again.
Would not recommend.
No.
But I mean, somebody like that is all into numbers, and I guess.
Yeah. I didn't mind the numbers so much as when he would give me the old 1-2, buckle my shoe. That was the numbers I didn't really square with as much.
You mean squaring up?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what exactly you were referring to there. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm going to be posting some clips soon, actually, of my latest set. I tried something new, and I talked a little bit more about my marriage.
Hold on, so an accountant was getting crazy like that?
Yeah, it's amazing what Adderall can do.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never, because I have a friend who is an accountant, but he's like super timid. Like, I don't think he's ever raised his voice or done anything even remotely violent. So to hear of an accountant doing that is crazy.
Well, he was definitely timid to the world. It was behind closed doors that things were a little bit
but it's with
different
you.
until the very end. Then it was on display for everybody. But that was a crazy time.
Is he in prison now?
No, he's out now from jail, but
Oh, he was though.
well, he wasn't in prison. He did go to jail a few times, but I think we've turned a corner. And honestly, things are pretty good now. Stable, I would say.
So now you mentioned you're Mormon. Was he also Mormon?
Yes, and I am
Wow.
Mormon, and he's also Mormon.
So is he still allowed to go to the big church, or?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I don't really keep in contact with him. I mean, our religion believes in repentance, so if I don't know his situation at all, but if he truly repented, I think he could probably go back. But I don't know.
So are you like a practicing Mormon, or?
I am.
Okay.
Yep, definitely. I go to church every Sunday. I have a calling in my church. I take my kids to church. So yeah, I'm practicing Mormon. Well, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I should say the full correct name of the church.
Yep.
But
Otherwise they get
oftentimes
mad.
we're referred to as Mormon. Yeah, otherwise
Why
we get
is
like
it
a big
called
lightning
Mormon?
bolt. Why is it called Mormon? Because we read a book of scripture called the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
Mormon was a prophet who was essentially the editor of the book. So just like you have the Holy Bible, which is written by many different people, and the editor of the Bible would have been a group of like modern, not modern, but
Modern for the day.
priests. Modern back then, yeah. After the ancient prophets, it was there were people who edited the Bible, you know, put the books in order, chose which parts stayed, and put it all together. So the editor of the Book of Mormon was an ancient prophet from the Americas named Mormon. So that's where the name comes from. But the full name of that book is the Book of Mormon, Another Testament of Jesus Christ. So it is just another book of scripture in addition to the Bible that testifies of Jesus Christ. And we get the nickname Mormons from that book because that's our scripture.
Yeah. It's simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of like, I can't even remember what it is now. Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't remember. Anyway, but yeah. So, well, I know one thing about Mormons. I actually dated a Mormon girl.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. She was awesome. She really was.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did she ever try to take you to church?
No.
or have the missionaries come talk to you?
No.
No.
Thankfully. So this is when I was actually playing drums in a metal band. So she got her degree in musical theater, which is like getting your degree in liberal arts, you know, useless. So, oh my God, she could sing though. But yeah, she was like one of the best chicks ever. There's one time.
Mormons are good at singing.
I didn't know that. Like in general?
Yeah.
Can you sing?
I can.
Will you sing?
Will I sing?
Yes.
What do you want me to sing for you?
Anything. Here we go.
I can't.
Okay. That's fine. But yeah, so there's this one time I had a concert. So where I lived at the time and where the concert was a good 45 minutes apart. And she lived close to where the concert was. And where the concert was is also where one of the big music stores was. So I needed drumsticks. I don't know how this information was shared with her, but she went to the music store, got me the exact type of drumsticks that I use, drove up to me, gave me the drumsticks, couldn't go to the show, and drove home. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the nicest thing anybody's ever done.
That sounds like something a Mormon would do.
Yeah.
We're very nice people, very kind and serviceable. At least we try to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a bad rap. A lot of people think that we can be kind of weird, I guess, or pushy or judgmental. Probably true. But we try not to be. But I honestly think if the worst thing you can call somebody is judgmental, then that's not that bad. I'm more afraid of people who can like murder me.
So like anybody.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I mean, you could be walking down the street and get run over by anybody driving a car at any point in time.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, like when I lived over in Irving before I moved over here, like I would walk him on Northgate, and all the time cars would be coming up behind me, and in my mind, I'm like, I could die right now. I could die right now. I could die right now. Because I'd be afraid of somebody not paying attention because Texas drivers and just drive over the sidewalk and run me over.
It could happen. That's why you gotta live your life the way that you want to live it so that you're ready for death at any moment.
Hashtag YOLO.
Yeah.
You got to tell your students that. Kids, do you know what YOLO means? Gotta add the hashtag.
They don't really do YOLO anymore.
What do they do now?
I think you can still say FOMO.
Yeah. Lit, bet, I,
Yeah.
Riz.
Yeah, I know. Skibbity toilet.
Oh God, don't even start with that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know about Skibbity Toilet until a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was pretty into it for a while. My For You page just decided that I needed to see it, and I was kind of like a moth to the flame or like a child with Cocomelon. I just couldn't look away. It just captivated me. And
How?
Well, because it takes you a minute to understand the lore because they don't explain anything, but it's post-apocalyptic.
Explain it for me.
I mean, you could just think of it as zombies, right? It's a disease that's catching and humanity is almost wiped out. And our only chance of survival are these sort of maybe cyborgs, you would call them, because they're half human, half machine. They're sometimes like radio heads or they're camera heads, but they're definitely on the side of humanity. There's not really very many humans left, if any humans at all. But what you don't want to be, I mean, think of the horror of becoming a skibbity toilet, of like being a head in a toilet that is just mindless and seeks to like destroy everything.
This is like
It's horrific.
a worse version of Fallout.
Probably. But the animation was interesting. The audio was like, I don't know. Like I said, I know it's not, I'm not saying it's high quality or anything. I am saying it will suck you in like a skibbity toilet.
Oh man, you know what? I forgot to start recording on this. That's okay. It's been a while since I've seen anything skibbity toilet. So
Well, now that we're talking about it, I'm sure your phone will give you lots of skibbity toilet to look at.
I vaguely remember something about. So let me see. Let me go to a video real quick. Okay. So this is the skibbity toilet.
Oh, see, I haven't seen this video. This looks like more of some origin lore. I mean, you're waking up. You're obviously one of the camera heads.
So they have names.
I don't know if they have names. Probably. The interesting thing about it is that when it started, it didn't really have any lore behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just like these random videos and it grew from that. So I think that there was a lot of imagination at play.
I mean,
It's military based. You can see there seems to be like some, and I think it comes from Russia. I'm not sure.
this reminds me so much of Fallout. What the?
Yeah,
Did he just open it with the guy's face?
Yeah, they're a bunch of decapitated heads.
Okay.
Okay, and they do that dance a lot. That's always fun. But you got to do these. This is more. I mean, this must be very advanced. This is. I'm talking about the ones that go to that page, the fuck boom. If you scroll down a little bit. Yeah, that guy. The one with 42.2 million subscribers. Gosh, there's
got more than me.
There's so many.
Like this one?
No, it's like it's got a song to it. It's like this. Maybe Skibbity Toilet original song, if you could search for that.
Let's see. Go back.
I can't remember what the name of the song is.
What does that say?
With the original music, if you want to go, or original sound. Yeah, that's
See,
season
this
1.
is one I remember.
Yeah, that's like the original stuff.
Let me see.
And see, I think it started with some guy just kind of messing around. Yeah. That's where Skibbity comes from, is this freaking song.
Yo!
And it was a lot of jump scares like that.
Yeah.
And you couldn't look away.
I can look away.
You can look away? I don't know. I think there's like 42 million of us who are easily enchanted.
Well, you spend your days around high schoolers, so
yeah.
they might be rubbing off on you a little bit.
I think they did.
Yeah. I don't know about all that. The only thing, so what's your age?
I'm 30.
30. Okay, so I'm 4 years older than you. So we grew up pretty much at the same time. I need to move this table real quick. There we go. So, do you remember Charlie the Unicorn?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. The end of the world.
Yep.
See, that was our weird
Come on,
stuff.
Charlie.
Charlie is a magical little pleurodon.
Come to Candy Mountain, Charlie.
Come, shun the non-believer.
Yes, totally. All of that and freaking salad fingers.
Oh,
and
God.
Charlie bit my finger and
So, about salad fingers, my friend, that's the accountant, thinks salad fingers is the most hilarious thing ever created.
yeah.
Like normal people like us, I think, It makes you uncomfortable. But when I showed him salad fingers, I've never seen anybody laugh so hard in my life.
Oh gosh, yeah. See, I like all these new types of humor. The only thing I couldn't ever get behind was YouTube poops. That was definitely my brother's
Haven't heard
humor.
of it.
Oh, that's from like our time.
I've never heard of that.
I mean, I think it's pretty similar to Skibbity Toilet. It's like real low brow humor, a lot of like loud noises and like, yeah. You know what YouTube poops are?
I've never heard of YouTube poops.
They'll like take like a movie like Toy Story and add some fart jokes or something. It's real.
I've
total
seen
humor.
the dubs where people dub over the original audio.
It'll include some of that, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that my brother always loved was YouTube poops. Not really my style. I liked Ryan Higa
I know who he is.
and Ray William Johnson. That's what I used to watch when I would get on YouTube back in like, the 2010s, early 2010s.
Yeah, I've never watched Higa. I don't want to say the first part.
I think he lost most of his. I think he removed most of his videos, a lot of his stuff, but I think he's still making content. I know Ray William Johnson is still making content.
That person I've never heard of.
Really, you've never heard of Ray William Johnson? He used to do Equals 3, which is where he would review 3 viral videos, and it was kind of like Joel McHale in The Soup.
Nope, never heard of it.
Maybe we didn't grow up at the same time, or maybe I've been on the internet longer than you have. What did
Or
you used
maybe
to do?
you're a nerd.
I was a little bit of a. Well, I wouldn't say I was a nerd.
Don't worry, I was too. I was in band.
I was a nerd. I was a nerd. That's true. I was a tryhard in school.
Yeah.
I loved being the teacher's pet and like getting straight A's. So definitely a nerd. Now that I think about it.
I was too. Maybe not to that extent. I played drums in band. I was a cool nerd.
I was a Mormon nerd, so I was like sheltered a little bit, except for what I could find online myself. So maybe
No
that's why.
R-rated movies.
Nope. I thought like the edgiest thing I ever saw was Blades of Glory.
Oh
with
God,
Will Ferrell.
That's a great movie though.
Yeah, like that to me was this like, wow, my mom would be so mad if she caught me watching this.
Oh God, so does your mom still like strictly adhere to the Mormonism?
Yep.
Really?
But she's come to a lot of my comedy shows.
Oh God.
Now.
What
yeah.
did she think of that?
She does not approve.
Oh really?
No, but she loves me and she supports me, but she does it with like there are better things you could be doing with your time.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of your sets. I would never in a million years guess you were Mormon based
Really?
off of your comedy.
Why?
No, I could see Catholic.
I do all clean comedy. Well,
Real.
I post clean comedy. If you ever catch me at a live show, you might see me
Not
doing
clean
some other
comedy.
stuff. Doing some other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because you said there's one thing that we can't talk about. So that's what your comedy was.
But
Like
not on TikTok.
not on TikTok, but in person.
Oh, in person. You've seen my stuff in person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I'm
A few times.
Yeah, so that is a different person. That is
That's Gabriella.
that is late night. No one else is here. I'm going to say what I want to say. I definitely use stand-up comedy as like free therapy. It's so, okay, yeah. So now you see what you're saying. Because I was like, if you're looking at my TikTok, there's nothing on there that should indicate that I can't be a person of faith. In person, late at night, at an open mic with like 6 people, yes, I will say what I have to say. That's true.
Yep. I'm so mad because I can't mention any of it.
No, not if we want this part to be anything public.
Yeah.
If
No,
people
I
want to
actually
see that, they'll have to come see me in person.
Yeah. I actually had a really good opening joke that I was going to use, but I was like, oh, I can't say that now.
Oh, gosh.
It's all right. But so what's your favorite part of being a teacher?
My favorite part of being a teacher, I think it's just being able to make a difference in a student's life. I love the connection that I get with my students, that I get to build a rapport with them, and then they trust me, and then I explain something to them in a way that makes them go, Oh, now I get it. And that is a very satisfying feeling. It's just helping a student learn something that previously they struggled with. And then seeing the satisfaction that they derive from it as well. I love seeing my students succeed.
Yeah. Had any school day fails?
School day fails. Well,
Embarrassing
yes,
moments, anything like that?
Well, I will tell you, we were reading Macbeth by William Shakespeare. I like to really get into character for my students with anything that we're reading. So I came to school dressed as Lady Macbeth. So I was wearing what looks like full Renaissance fair kind of outfit.
This is the rap battle day, right?
Oh,
Or
yes.
no?
I did have a rap battle
Yeah.
with somebody else for Romeo and Juliet. But this was actually last year. I did this again last year. And last year, I put blood all over my hands because Lady Macbeth has a very famous line that says, "Out damned spot," and she's trying to get blood out of her hands. But she can't because it's just all in her mind. Well, on the way to school, I got a flat tire. And I had to pull into a tire shop to get it fixed. So I had to walk into this tire shop fully dressed as Lady Macbeth.
Hark,
with
where
blood
art thou
hands.
mechanic?
Yeah. With blood all over my hands. And I walked in and I was like, I will not explain myself. I have a flat tire. I don't know what caused it. And I need you to fix it right now. And they were just like, of course, my lady. I was like, that is the treatment I expect. There was one old man in the waiting room with me who could not stop staring at me. And he just kept saying some really odd things to me.
Such as?
You're very short. My wife is also very short. I love my wife. I was like, I'm sure you do. I don't know.
Was he like 80?
Yes, he was very old.
Yeah.
And he was very tall too. And he was like, I'm very tall. I'm like, I was like, that's wonderful. And he was
He's
like,
old enough to be a toddler again.
no. Yeah. So I got some interesting service that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
I like to be dedicated to the students. So I show up dressed up as Lady Macbeth every year.
Well, probably not going forward.
Nope, not anymore. Those days are behind me. But I will be reading lots of other things with my students, so I can definitely see myself getting into character for the other things that we read.
Well, yeah, if you're going to be a librarian, you're covered in books.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. I love reading. I love instilling a love of reading in my students.
Favorite book?
My favorite book probably right now is going to be Island of Sea Women by Lisa C. I love historical fiction about women. So it takes you to a different time and place. Sometimes it's about a real person or sometimes it's a fictional person, but it could be a real person. It's more about seeing this time and place through the eyes of a woman at that time. So this one is about these women in an island in South Korea who during the time of like World War II and they're under like Japanese imperialism, they learn how to dive really deep, like free diving. So without any equipment, and they collect like oysters and other things to sell at the fish markets. And the reason they had to do that is because the men were not allowed to work. So the women had to work and the men would stay home with the babies. And it was a really interesting time. I
They're
hope
like
I'm not
lions.
butchering it, huh?
They're like lions.
Yes. Yeah. It's just an interesting dynamic. So I like lots of books by Lisa C. Kristen Hanna is one of my other favorite authors that also writes a lot of historical fiction about women. The last book I read from her was, she just came out with a new one called The Women, which is about an army nurse that goes to Vietnam during the Vietnam War. So it's like 60s and 70s and even goes a little bit into the 80s. And there's this misconception that women did not go to Vietnam, but some women did, usually as nurses. And
Oh, yeah, if they were in the military, yeah.
yeah, but even to this day, people don't realize that women were in Vietnam. They think it was only men, and it was only men who were in the trenches or who were like out in the
Lost in
jungle.
Vietnam.
Yeah. But a lot of these women actually came back and suffered from PTSD as well. And it was very unpopular when you came back. They would call them baby killers. They did not like these people who had been serving in the war effort. And so while they're grappling with their PTSD, they also have to hide their service, essentially, even though it's so formative for them. So it's a really interesting book. I love reading. I can talk about books for hours.
Yeah, the whole Vietnam thing coming home, that was a big issue for like a lot of people. Like, first of all, I very much support our troops. So
Me too.
it is absolutely insane to me how anybody could look at a veteran and say anything negative.
Yeah, well, it was just there was a changing feeling towards the Vietnam War when it first started. Oh, sorry, do you need to?
Yeah, but it wasn't the soldiers' fault. They
No,
were
it
literally just
wasn't.
going where they had to go.
No, exactly. But this war started costing them a lot of money. They essentially lost the war, and that was sort of covered up. They just kind of pulled back. They were not
It's
prepared.
Afghanistan.
And soldiers were being maimed and killed in the most brutal ways. There were all sorts of traps that were set for them that were specifically meant to disfigure them, to, make them lose limbs or to make them sick. Like a lot of the traps would be covered in feces so that they would go septic. I mean, it was really, really tragic what a lot of them went through. My grandpa was a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah, my grandpa was in Korea, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's the whole reason napalm was invented, to
Yeah.
burn down the forest to get the Viet Cong out.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons why the American attitudes shifted, was because of some of these uses of biological warfare, and it was not just the Vietnamese army and men that were being killed or harmed by napalm. It was women, children, even little babies being burned to death and chemically burned to death. It was really sad. But again, like you said, it's not necessarily the veterans' fault. They were just following orders, and they didn't have any control. So now I think that with social media, we are a lot more connected.
Oh,
We can say our
significantly
piece.
so.
People are able to say, even like on this podcast, for example, you're able to like put your voice out there, and it's important to do that so that people can have lots of different viewpoints. So yeah, hopefully, but I don't know. We see this whole like what's going on with Palestine and the Gaza Strip, and I think that people get a lot more involved now, which is good. It's a good thing.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is virtue signaling, which, don't get me wrong, in of itself is not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there are a lot of hypocrites.
Yeah.
It's like the whole, I don't know if you've seen the Queers for Palestine banner.
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Well, that's a thing. And the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is in all Middle Eastern countries, except for Israel, being homosexual is illegal, literally illegal, punishable by death in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Palestine being one of them.
Yeah.
So for me, I see these people like the Queers for Palestine, and it was like, these people don't like you. Like,
it is a strange thing that ends up happening. I was thinking the same thing because I don't know, when I see certain groups like that, or even other like people from other countries and like Arab countries or people of Muslim faith like supporting Palestine, I'm like, I never would have guessed that y'all were friends. Like I didn't, I thought it's hard to keep track of all of the different groups and conflicts that have taken place over there. And I think it's really interesting in a time where we have things like Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, the Me Too movement, gay pride, all of that after the Holocaust, we're back to hating on Jews. I feel like it's kind of crazy. And to avoid being labeled as an anti-Semitist or whatever, you say anti-Zionist now. They just gave them a new name. I don't know. I really feel bad for Jewish people, especially Jewish people here in the U.S. who might be, if they're experiencing any kind of racism or bigotry because of things that are happening over there in Gaza. I have my own opinions on it, and I don't necessarily need to get into those. I'm against any kind of genocide, obviously. I'm against any people getting hurt. But I think the situation is very complicated and that there are solutions. But here in the U.S., where we are encountering our fellow Americans, there's no room for hate against people that are Jewish or people who are Palestinian or any other religious or ethnic group. But yeah, Jews, I'm like, wow, y'all have some like kind of Stanley Yelnats curse for murdering Jesus. I think that was, you probably shouldn't have done that. Like that.
Well, I mean,
that was kind of a bad move.
According to Christianity, the Jews are the protected people.
Oh yeah, Mormons love Jews.
Yeah,
we're very. We just want them to become Mormons.
Well, see, like with the whole conflict with Gaza and Israel, I very much empathize with innocent people. I feel very bad for them without any question.
For me, it's women and children.
Yeah.
That's where my heart goes out to.
Yeah. But for Hamas, show no mercy.
There's no room for any kind of sympathy for any kind of terrorist group on either side or for war crimes.
Agreed.
It's about the women and the children to me.
Yeah, that's the worst part, because in that religion and that culture, women have no say. It's like they can't make their own choices. Women are more or less property, especially in arranged marriages. I mean, they're marrying off their daughters at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
To dudes that are in their 40s and 50s and 60s. It's like, I don't understand how any person who calls himself a liberal, which I'm not, could support that.
I can't say that I'm a liberal or a conservative. I definitely stick firmly in the middle, because I don't like party lines.
Yeah.
I do not like having to agree with one side or the other, just because
And you shouldn't.
That's where the party draws the line. Like, speaking of Trump and Biden and who we're voting for in this election.
I wasn't talking about that, but go on.
Well, you're right. I'm bringing that up because I'm thinking about conservative and, liberal, Republican, Democrat, and these party lines, and having only the two most awful choices I can possibly think of for president. When I first was old enough to vote in the presidential election, my choices were between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, and I remember being conflicted.
Mine too.
Yeah, and I remember being conflicted because they were both such amazing choices, and I thought, I don't know who to choose. I don't know who to vote for because Mitt Romney was Mormon, so he's my guy, but Barack Obama was awesome too, so I really wanted to vote for both. I think I ended up voting for Obama that time. Although now looking back, I wish I had voted for Romney. Yeah. But now I have to choose between like this man who wants his daughter or this other man who also wants Trump's daughter. Like, they're just, if she was like a little girl, maybe they're just both so disgusting. I think, I know some people have said that there should be like an age limit on the presidency. I think there should be an attractiveness minimum. I just want a hot president. That's what I want. I just want some
DeSantis was your guy.
Who?
DeSantis.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even settle for RFK Jr. So I think that's where I'm going to end up. Yeah.
You're attracted to that voice? I can't even do it. Like,
I love a good sultry, crackly voice.
That's not great. Sultry and crackly.
Listen,
that's
I'm making lemonade out of piss right now. Okay? Let me have it. I can't. It's better than Trump or Biden. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Biden has Alzheimer's.
And speaking of like, okay, yeah. If you have for the Democratic Party to have an old white straight man as the face of the Democratic Party, I'm just
that's against everything they stand for.
What is this? I can't. I don't know.
Hypocrites. That's the Democratic
it's hypocritical
Party
too for Trump because he's not even white. He's like this weird shade of orange. I don't know.
It's a fake tan.
Nobody is who they are supposed to be. It's very frustrating.
Well, I mean, as far as the candidates go, it's survival of the fittest. So, I mean, on the Democratic side, that's all predetermined. That party picks whoever they want. And then for the Republicans, it's a fist fight, metaphorically speaking. And Trump just dominated everybody. I was like, I liked Ron DeSantis actually more than Trump. I really did.
Yeah.
But DeSantis bitched out, so
I
not your turn.
can't believe that this is the state of our nation. I definitely feel like something big is coming. We're going to get involved in some war somewhere.
well, I mean,
And so they can hide more government spending. Luckily, see, this is why I believe in heaven. It just helps me to remember that none of this really matters.
I wouldn't say that.
No, it doesn't. Jesus will come again and make all of this right.
Well, I mean, if you believe none of this matters, then why wouldn't you just, end yourself?
I've thought about it.
Well, I'm not saying that as a suggestion. Let's clear that up first of all.
No, I appreciate your suggestion.
It's not a suggestion.
No, it's a great.
It's a
great
theoretical
idea.
question. If none of this matters, then why do it?
You're right.
I mean,
I
you
can't
have
be
kids now,
completely
so-
nihilistic about life. I do think that things matter. I just think certain things that are outside of my control, I don't need to actually stress about. So if there are gigantic wars going on, if there are moves being made behind closed doors in cities far removed from me, what can I do about that? But what I can do is go out and be kind to the person next to me and try to make the world a better place. Try to teach a child how to read and love reading and hope that the world continues to spin on its axis for a little while longer.
Well, the world's going to be here long after us. The world doesn't care.
We'll see.
Or let me say the planet.
Maybe. I think we're capable of destroying our planet.
No. It's not even close. We could detonate every single nuclear bomb tomorrow. We would all die. We would definitely ruin the atmosphere and, all of our structures. The planet's going to be fine. The planet does not care whatsoever. Our bombs are tiny compared
Might not
to
necessarily
weather
be our
systems.
bombs, but we could accidentally send something from outer space over here.
You mean like alter the trajectory of a comet?
Potentially. Or accidentally call some aliens over here. And actually, we already did do that. Apparently, aliens have been here.
Well, I mean, depending on how religious you are, do you believe in aliens?
Oh, 100% I believe
Why?
in aliens.
Why?
And I would say that it's not in contradiction with any sort of faith either.
I think so.
Yeah. No,
Just going off of Genesis.
I believe in aliens because I believe that there is life outside of planet Earth. That makes the most sense to me.
Well, if I'm looking at Genesis, we have Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Well, we had Adam first, and that's where God made, his favorite stuff. So there's nothing in the Bible that speaks of beings from other planets. He didn't speak of over here we have Adam, but on this planet we have Glebe Glorb. I didn't read that.
Actually, in our faith, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, we do believe that God created many worlds. And they're essentially
Many
infinite.
planets.
Many planets.
Yeah, the whole universe.
Right. And infinite numbers of peoples. So he talks about other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. So yeah, definitely believe in aliens. And then the government confirmed it and nobody cared. And now there's a movie coming out with Scarlett Johansson, and it's about the moon landing and how it was faked, which was one of my favorite conspiracy theories, and now it's going to be mainstream. A little disappointing.
Conspiracy theory's been mainstream for a long time.
Yeah, it's true. But now it's going to be like everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, you didn't know the moon landing was fake? And it's like, it reminds me of when, for a while, there was a time when people were denying that COVID came from a lab or that it even came from China at all, because it was racist to say that COVID came from China.
I remember.
And then they would I remember Facebook would remove posts if you posted anything about COVID coming from China. And then from like one day to the next, it just switched. And it's like, yeah, of course, we always knew COVID came from China, from a lab. But that's not the point. It's like, oh, what about when you called us all crazy for saying that? That was kind of not cool.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be the same thing with the moon landing. And then eventually we'll get to things like JFK. And like 100 years from now, we'll find out more about what happened with 9/11.
We know already.
Wow.
We know the CIA killed Kennedy. We know 9/11 was an inside job.
You say we know, but I think there are a lot of people who would still say that's not true.
Like my dad. Yeah, my dad, he doesn't think 9/11 was an inside job. But, I mean, the facts that we do know, putting the inside job thing apart, is like we know they were from Saudi Arabia. We know they shouldn't have had a pilot's license. We know we found their passports from a building that melted. Huh?
Yeah, there's so many inconsistencies. I read this whole book on it, and it was very interesting. I think my favorite conspiracy, though, of all time is about Big Milk.
Go on.
Okay, well, so milk is bad for humans, and that's always been the case. Cow's milk is bad for humans. Yes, it's not meant for humans. We lack the enzyme that is necessary to break it down, and pretty much everybody is lactose intolerant except for people who have a mutated gene who are tolerant to lactose. But most people, everybody knows this. Like if you go to anybody and you're like, hey, do you want to like just chug some milk right now? They'll probably be like, no, I don't think that would sit well with me, especially adults. And yet what is served to every single child in the United States like a staple more than water?
McDonald's.
Your milk. Your milk. You don't even get like a bottle. Like it would make more sense to me if every child was given a bottle of water with lunch or, you know, maybe something more reusable than that, but water, right? Instead they're given milk. Even high schoolers are given milk. What other...
That chocolate milk hits different, though.
Okay, and the strawberry milk, too. Is
oh, yeah. Oh, God,
but
yes.
it's like a delicacy. But what other food group had people like Michael Jordan advertising for them with a little milk mustache saying, got milk? Why do you need such big advertising for milk? I've never seen advertising for like broccoli or carrots or anything else.
Eggo waffles.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about just like a whole food, right? Like, yeah, obviously these I wouldn't trust Eggos. You want to put Eggos up there with milk? That's suspicious to me. I don't know. Milk is very bad for us, and I don't drink it.
I mean, the dose makes the poison.
The who?
The dose.
What's that? Oh, right. How much? How much?
Yeah. I mean,
for some reason, I was thinking that was like a group. I'm like, I've never heard of the dose.
Oh. This is the cartels.
Yeah.
It's fentanyl.
Yeah, but that's true. But I don't think that we should be having, like there's, for example, you can have a certain amount of lead in food too. I don't think that should, I think it should be 0.
It wouldn't be terrible.
Same thing with like talc and iron. Well,
you need iron.
You do need iron.
Otherwise,
yeah,
and
that's
then you're
true.
cold all the time. And then you eat Sonic Ice.
And I probably need more iron.
Are you cold right now?
I'm actually okay right now.
Okay.
I feel fine.
I think your iron levels are okay then.
Probably. Hopefully they're okay now. But anyway, I do have to get going now. So.
Yep. We didn't get to anything I wanted to talk about.
Oh, sorry.
We'll have to do another episode.
Yeah, maybe we could try for another one now that I have a better idea, anyways, of how this goes.
Yeah, this hour flew by. It was like.
Yeah. I gotta get going. I'm gonna get to Jamie Jakes' open mic.
Yep. All right, everybody. This was Gabby. Go see her. Do you have any other shows coming up? I don't think you do.
No, I'm looking to book some shows, but yeah, you can follow me on TikTok at Gab's Garden or on Instagram. That's where I post my comedy clips and my thirst traps. Just kidding. But if you want to follow me there, that's where you'll find me.
Yep. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching this episode, and we will see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.